This is my farewell note. My confession, if you will. I've got everything planned out. As soon as I'm done with my story here, I'll have my last meal. Chicken lasagna with bechamel sauce and mushrooms. Then, I'll jump off my building's rooftop. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. None of this would make much sense if I don't tell you the whole story from the very beginning. It's safe to say that I've never been an upstanding citizen. I've done many bad things. Robbing, mugging, credit card fraud, you name it. That's how I've been making my living for years, and quite frankly, I have no regrets whatsoever about it. Well, I only regret getting caught. About a year ago, several days before Christmas, I foolishly got myself caught doing a small robbery and got thrown in lockup with a true monster. A criminal far more dangerous than I could ever be. He was dressed up as Santa Claus. That costume was probably a piece of some sinister scheme of his. I didn't talk to him. I didn't even look at him. Tried to avoid trouble, but the guards were lazier and sloppier than ever. They left the two of us, locked together, and went away for some sort of pre-Christmas celebration. They just left me with him. And damn. Even now, I can't force myself to speak up and tell what happened back then. Not even on the edge of death. I'm just gonna say that it was the most horrific, humiliating, and painful night of my life. Ever since that night, I resent Christmas. And Santa Claus, well, he became an emblem for my mental trauma. I had a hard time processing what happened to me. I was constantly angry, sad, humiliated. I was broken on the inside. It only got worse when a year later, Christmas decorations began to appear on the streets of my city. Each Christmas tree, each fake snowflake, each mistletoe was a bitter reminder of what happened, of what was done to me. And as for Santa Clauses, standing on each corner in their ugly costumes with their stupid bells, there are not enough words to describe what I felt just looking at them. 1 week ago, I woke up standing near my front door. My keys dropped loudly and woke me up. I wasn't surprised. Sleepwalking runs in my family, and it happened to me multiple times. Plus, this Christmas season had started to really get under my skin. I locked the door on all locks and went back to sleep. The next morning, I woke up tired. My body was hurting as if I had spent way too much time at the gym. But I knew I hadn't. I was very confused and quite concerned. I decided to take a day off and just try to relax, get my mind off things that were bothering me. After all, that sleepwalking thing had really startled me. What if I hadn't woken up before managing to walk out of my house? I ordered some pizza, made a fresh brew of coffee, and turned on the TV, planning to zone out for a while. The first channel that was on broadcasted the news. My first reaction was to switch the channel. I didn't want any politics or world catastrophes to ruin my chill day. But before I managed to do that, I saw the headline that stopped me. It was saying, Santa Claus murdered. I don't even know why, but I kept on watching. The murder happened that night. A guy who was working as Santa Claus was viciously murdered on his way home late at night. His throat was slashed with an axe several times. As I was watching, I suddenly got hit by a horrible deja vu feeling. I could swear I knew this story. I knew the exact street that murder took place. I guessed the weapon and when they showed the photo. His face seemed familiar. That really freaked me out. How could I possibly know that? I checked to see that it wasn't a rerun. There was no way I had seen or heard it before. Unable to solve the mystery, I decided to stick to my original plan. To switch off the news and binge watch some stupid TV show. After all, deja vu is a quite common, though admittedly weird phenomenon. It is possible that I'm just reading too much into it, I thought to myself, and switched the channel. I spent a lovely day without a care in the world and went to sleep more peacefully than I'd been in weeks. However, the morning after, I woke up not only tired, but also dirty, as if I had rolled around on some dusty ground. Did I sleepwalk again? Did I go outside? Those were the questions that I was too scared to ask myself. I took a quick shower and went on with my business. I had some stuff I needed to take care of. I didn't make it very far from my door when I accidentally overheard a conversation. Two middle-aged men were walking in front of me and discussing something that caught my attention. Have you heard? That Santa Claus murderer killed again. Really? Oh my God, I'll be damned if this isn't the most ridiculous serial killer there's ever been. Yeah, exactly. I wonder what poor Santa ever did to that sick freak. Gave him the wrong toy? They both laughed. I froze where I stood. Their words triggered a hideous vision in my head. It was from the first-person point of view, as if it was a memory of mine. I saw a man, dressed as Santa Claus, running away from me. It wasn't the same man that I saw in the news yesterday, but he seemed familiar. And he was scared, very scared. I buried my head in my hands, trying to banish this terrible image from my mind. But I couldn't. The man fell on the ground. An axe hit across his neck. He yelled, and his scream reverberated in my ears. Another hit of the axe, and another one, and another one, until he stopped moving. The image of this Santa Claus, lying in the pool of his own blood, burnt into my brain. His dead eyes staring at me, his face deformed in a grimace of terror and suffering. It was unbearable. It wasn't going away. I don't know how long I'd been standing there, blankly staring at the road and trying to make sense of this horrible vision of mine. Could it be a dream? Or, I shuddered a thought, a flashback? I rushed back home and turned on the TV immediately. I found the news and started to watch. Ironically, this time they seemed to be reluctant to talk about anything but economics and international politics. I waited for a while until finally they touched on the piece of news I craved to know more about. I froze in front of the TV. Santa Claus murderer strikes again. Another professional Santa Claus was viciously murdered at an abandoned square on his way home after a day of work as a holiday entertainer. For more on this, we turn to... I was sitting there, staring blankly at the screen. Just like yesterday, I knew the exact spot, the murder weapon. And as for the man himself, that was the one that I saw in my vision. Now I had no doubts that it was an actual memory. This realization made my skin crawl. I remember I was horrified up to the point where my body couldn't hold it in. I rushed to the toilet and threw up. I was shaking. I was cold. It felt as if my body simply stopped functioning out of fear and severe stress. I tried to prevent myself from sleeping, but as the second day of sleep deprivation went by, I realized that it wasn't such a good idea. I was on the edge of blacking out and falling asleep. So instead, I decided to make sure that if I sleepwalk again, I won't be able to go anywhere outside. I locked my door and barricaded it with all the furniture that I could move. I put handcuffs on myself and hid the key in my bedside table. I sighed with relief. I could never sleepwalk through all of those restraints. It was impossible. I was sure of it. When I woke up the next morning, I saw to my horror that all the furniture was back in its original position, and the door lay wide open. As my eyes slowly came into focus, I looked down at myself, and right beside me was a cold, bloody axe, staining my clothes and sheets. I couldn't hold the scream of horror. It seemed as if my subconsciousness turned against me, and it was making a point by not hiding the weapon like the nights before. as if it was telling me to sit back and watch it avenge me. Avenge us. I'm not an easily scared man, but this powerless feeling of being unable to control yourself, not knowing what your body will do to you the second you close your eyes, it made me uncontrollably cry from fear. I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't need to. This time I could remember everything that happened quite clear. Me getting the axe hidden in the closet. Me going outside. Me searching the streets for another victim and finally finding him. He was drunk, barely standing on his feet, unable to even try to run away or protect himself. Didn't stop me. Right now, as I'm sending this message into the internet to tell the world my true story, I haven't been sleeping for 3 days in a row. I've made my decision. I have to end my life before I fall asleep. Because otherwise, I know that I will kill again. And again. And again. Until I'll eventually get caught and sent to prison. And I can't let that happen. So instead, I'll pour myself a glass of wine, taste my delicious lasagna, and pray